Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got another review on the team of the season Casemiro card. We're going to go through the card as features, stats, clips and summary. Before we get into all of that, if I could ask you guys to please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button and that bell so you know when I upload, and comment down below which of these La Liga tots cards you're going to be grabbing. And now let's get into the video. So guys, this is a team that I used Casemiro in. I played him in that DM spot in the 4-2-3-1. I did try him as centre back as well, guys, but actually I much preferred him in DM because of his positional play. Because my first impression is this card, guys. I love this card. I think he plays exactly how you expect a Casemiro card to play, in that he does feel clunky, but his defensive capability is exceptional, guys. Maybe one of the best pure defensive midfielders I've used this year. Let's just get into the review. Casemiro, 6'1", high work rates, right-footed, 2-star skill moves, 3-star weak foot, 4 games played, and 4 assists from DM as well, guys. So really lovely in that regard too. Really able to pass the ball well, and we'll get into that shortly as we get into some of the other stats. The only things to pay attention for: the 3-star weak foot, not ideal in terms of just you would like him to be able to distribute the ball better with his left. His 2-star skill moves, of course, are very poor. For you skillers out there, this card is a no-go. High work rates as well do tend to catch him out at times, especially with how his movement is. He's not obviously the most agile or quick player on the pitch, so if he's in the wrong position because of those work rates, he tends to get caught out and the ball passes by him, and that can leave you exposed. This is of course offset by the fact that he is such a good defender, but is something to pay attention for, guys. In terms of the player details, I put a shadow chemistry on him. I wanted to bring that pace up and just take that defending up to another level. Again, it's already very good. That just makes it great. In terms of the attribute details, guys, the key pros of the card: his physicality is tremendous, guys. I mean, every stat in there is above 90, is 92 or above. Absolutely fantastic there. His defending stats are all fantastic too, and just giving them that helping hand again makes them even better. Reactions are good, composure is good, and his passing range is very good as well. His long shots are decent. However, I didn't get much chance to try them out because he doesn't really create the space for them with his agility and balance. So that's something just to bear in mind, is that although he does have fantastic long shots, it is kind of difficult to get them off. In terms of the cons, his speed, of course, has to be one. He isn't the quickest of players, so that is something that is a big con for me. In terms of his dribbling as well, his agility, ball control, dribbling, all of that stuff, balance as well, it was clunky. He does feel clunky on the ball as well, so you will struggle a little bit in terms of that. And then as well, like I mentioned, because he's not the most agile of players, he does sometimes get passed by in the midfield because of his work rates dragging him out of position. In terms of the player traits though, guys, you got the power free kick trait, solid player, dives into tackles, long shot taker, and the team player trait. So lots of lovely traits to have, especially in a defensive midfielder of this caliber. And now that we've covered that, let's get into some of the clips that I got with him. So guys, getting into some of Casemiro's moments, and what you guys are going to see is the general defensive capability that this card has and how well he did for me deep in that midfield role. Now, the first thing we'll talk about, guys, as we do with all players, is their pace. The pace on this card is quite low. I do feel like at times you will struggle, especially in the transition between attack to defense, where you need to come back again. If he's pushed up a little bit too high because of those high attacking and defensive work rates, you may find him out of position. So I do feel like the pace is a little bit of a factor just in terms of staying in the right place. You might need to put instructions on him just to make sure he doesn't gamble forward too much. The next thing we'll get into, guys, is his passing. Now, his passing is very good. Both the short and long pass, the range on the passes, the weighting on the passes is very good. And that's really nice, guys, because you're able to be such a defensive unit with this card, and then you're also able to do part of the technical game as well with his passing. So it's really nice to have that in this card as well. The next thing we'll talk about is his dribbling. Now, his dribbling is clunky. I do feel like you really don't want to utilize this part of his game if you can avoid it. Simple spins will be all you can do with this card. I would not suggest turning and tight movements in between defenders with this card. He really just isn't built for that. His agility and balance, both really poor. He's got good reaction, so it's great for defending, and good composure as well, but the other stats in that category really do hold him back. The next thing we'll get into, guys, and going kind of off another weak stat, is his shooting. Now, his shooting isn't great, especially with that weak foot and those skill moves. It's really difficult to create chances. To finish off with this card, you will have to keep it incredibly simple to score any goals with this card. So really, shooting a non-factor in this card for me as well, because of how good he is defensively. But he does play high, so if you're going to use him as more of a box-to-box, that is something to bear in mind, is that he will not be able to finish chances as easily as you may like him to be able to. The next thing we'll talk about, guys, is his defending. Now his defending is very good. I feel like his defensive awareness is higher than what the card would suggest as well. I felt like he positioned himself incredibly well given his work rates as well. He was able to get in the right spot, get a lot of interceptions from me, strong in there as well, especially with the interceptions and the tackles. You'll have seen a bunch of these tackles, guys, where he's just so physically, takes the ball so cleanly. It's really easy to tackle with this card. And I didn't give away many fouls either, guys. Like that tackle there, very strong, very capable in the tackle in general. Which leads me into the physicality, and by far the best thing about this card, which is how physical he is, how strong he is, and how capable he is, whether it's off kickoff, whether it's in the transition, stopping the opponent's attacks, whether it's just in a general defending situation. He needs to hold off someone. He's very strong, guys, very capable as well, so I love that about this card. In this final clip, you're going to see more of his playmaking, actually, where he gets a goal, or an assist, sorry, to Rodrigo. Gets the ball back here, plays it in behind, a lovely ball there. We get in on goal here, and then from here we dribble past the defender and smash it in at the near post. So guys, getting to this final Casemiro summary: 156 on the PlayStation, 168 on the Xbox, and 174 on the PC. Now guys, the key pros of this card, defending stats and physicality stats, are both fantastic. I feel like his passing range is really good as well. His reactions and composure are good. All the things that you want in a defender, really good there as well. His long shots are good. However, I struggled to create the space with this card, and that's because of the cons of his dribbling and speed. He really doesn't have that good burst off the mark that he's able to create chances on that right foot of his. If I was to recommend a chemistry style, guys, a shadow is a good way to go, always with a defensive player. Boosts his defending up to a really elite level, takes his pace up to a usable level. His acceleration is still low, but because of that positioning, guys, even without the boost, his defensive awareness is fantastic. The way he positions himself, the way he is aggressive in the tackles, and you guys will have seen that in some of the clips. He really is a fantastic player to use. You can, of course, go with something like an engine. That would really help him out just in terms of his dribbling, passing, and pace. I don't feel like it does enough for him, guys. And the second recommended chemistry style on this card actually is a finisher, which is weird because I believe it's just because it gets the agility up. Maybe an artist would be a good way to go, just to kind of help out his dribbling and passing there. But overall, guys, I still think the shadow is the way to go. In terms of similar players, guys, a very similar player to this Souček. I actually think he is two peas in a pod similar to this Bruno Guimaraes, who is a very good card, very decent card as well. And Casemiro feels in that same mold, doesn't have the same level of dribbling ability, but overall, guys, his defensive ability usurps almost anyone else I've used this year. Absolutely fantastic card. The only one I'd say is better than him defensive wise, not necessarily overall game, but purely looking at the defensive side of things, is Patrick Vieira. This card really is a fantastic defender. It's just a shame about that agility as well, because it really does hold him back. In terms of linkability, guys, you got some fantastic linkability to Flashback Marcelo, Showdown Rodrigo, Vinicius, Reka Rodrigo if you did that card as well as an objective, Eder Militao. So many ways to link this card into your team. Strong links, of course, as well, actually, before we move on to the Brazilian icons, Real Madrid players and Brazilian players in La Liga. So loads of options there to link this card in to build some nice teams around him as well. Which leads me into the price comparison, guys. Now this is a bit unfair because this price will drop off and it's already at 155k. It's so cheap. Now guys, there is a specific card I wanted to compare this card to, and that is actually the moment Sergio Busquets, who is actually just down here. Now this SBC costs 181k, and if you were to compare the two of them, their stats directly, Casemiro has the better stats of the two. However, guys, if you ask me, is he better than this Busquets? My answer would be no. I actually think this Busquets is one of the most underrated cards in the game, but if you are going to compare him to a defensive midfielder in that same league, in that same position, who would be used for the same job, this Busquets is a better card, and that should really give you guys an idea of how good this card is. It's a decent card, it's a very usable card, but it is not an elite card to be able to build your team around, to build that spine around. He's a very good supplementary piece to your playmaker in the middle, someone who wins the ball back and then gives it simple to your other midfielder, because actually, guys, you can get better options deep in that midfield. And I do feel like that really leads me into my final recommendation, guys, which is this card is decent. It's really easy to link in. It's a good card to pick up if you can do that. Certainly better than a lot of the defensive fielders in La Liga right now, so that's certainly going for him very well. However, guys, I would say that do not build your team around this card. This is very much a supplementary piece. Wait till the price drops off a little, because honestly, he still isn't worth the 150k. I feel like if he's around 120, 110k mark, even 100k, that's a fairer price for this card. Despite how good he is at defending, he just gets lost in that midfield really with that agility, and that affects the card to the point where he isn't really worth it. It's very much a similar sort of situation to Souček in that he should be a bit better, just doesn't quite stack up to that. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, please do smash that like button. Until next time, I will see you all in a bit.